It's really an important reminder, I think, just for everyone, whether you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, the peaceful transfer of power is a cornerstone of our democracy. And the very fact that it was, you know, obstructed in ways last time in 2021 should be jarring no matter which side of the aisle you sit on, because when that happened and what the insurrection did, it is hard for me to put into words the feeling that I had watching this play out, knowing what was coming and then watching it play out the way that it did. It's hard to really impress upon people how important it is to be objective, because I think that if it wasn't Trump supporters who were doing this, and if let's say it was, Harris, Biden people are out there today and we're storming the Capitol, those same Trump supporters would be furious and would be screaming from the rooftops that they should be all held accountable. And I think that then, again, having your objective hats on as opposed to your partisan hats on is going to be really important as we move forward. But marking this day and not forgetting what happened 4 years ago is incredibly important. And I hope people will take time to remember that.
Well, there's a lot of talk about whitewashing, right? What happened on January 6th. There has been a bit of revisionist history. Donald Trump calls it a day of love when he talks about this. We also know that he's promised to pardon the January 6 rioters, and there are a lot of them. I don't know if this is going to be an across the board. There have been questions about how Donald Trump would handle that, but more than 1,500 people were charged with crimes tied to January 6th. Nearly 1,000 have pleaded guilty. I'm guessing you don't think they should be pardoned. Maura, you can speak to that, but we heard as well today from the captain of the Capitol Police, who is not in favor, obviously, of seeing them pardoned. What message would that send if Donald Trump makes good on that promise?
It sets us up as a country for mayhem, because if you can't hold the people who, again, if you were one of those people over the summer who were furious at these college students who were breaking into buildings, bashing windows, and trying to take over their campus buildings, and you said they need to be held accountable, they should all be arrested, then you should have the same exact feelings about those who broke into the Capitol, beat down our officers, both Metropolitan Police in the DC area, as well as Capitol Police officers, to stop a proceeding that is, again, the cornerstone of our democracy. So you can't cry wolf at one thing and then turn a blind eye to the other. They're not on the same level, but if you're opposed to people breaking into buildings and smashing in windows, then you should think that they should be held accountable in the same ways. And so for President Trump to go ahead and issue a blanket pardons is, one, just a terrible look for our justice system. But two, I do think that there are certain cases that can be looked into. I'm not saying, I'm not opposed to that. I think our criminal justice system needs to be looked into. I think there are certain cases that can be looked into as far as how far their sentences go. But to issue a blanket pardon is so dangerous and sets a terrible precedent for our country moving forward.
Well, I'm guessing that Adam Kinzinger doesn't like the idea. You worked for the former Congressman Maura. Of course, he was on the January 6th committee. We don't know. Donald Trump has threatened to prosecute some of the folks, or all of them, who were involved in that investigation. Is there a place in the Republican Party for the Adam Kinzingers of the world, John Katko's, the Mitt Romneys of the world?
There is, if they want to be. My thing has always been, one, the idea about, not the idea, but what happened on January 6th, you can take a strong stance against that and say and call it out and say that it was wrong and say that it was a violation of what we stand for as a nation and for our democracy, and still believe in Republican policies and put forward ideas, conservative values, and still identify as a Republican. Again, I want to reiterate that what happened on January 6th, whether Republican or Democrat, should appall you, should truly be something that can never happen again. And that doesn't make you any less Republican by saying that, because, again, roles reversed. If a Democrat mob was coming to storm the Capitol to overturn the 2024 election, Republicans would be outraged. But again, on that day in 2021, it wasn't just Democrats being targeted. It was Mike Pence being targeted for the job that Kamala Harris is about to do today in certifying the election. It was all members were scared. Republican members were scared. The most MAGA Republicans were scared and hiding from the mob that day. So let's just remember that, that yes, there is a role for Republicans, like those who believe that January 6th is wrong, but also who believe in a smaller, more accountable government, who want to see our energy sector thrive, who want to see our grocery bills come down. We can do both. You don't need to take away your own values and what you stand for to
Mm-hmm.
to appease the Trump MAGA people. I just don't think that that's the way forward for us.
I only have a minute left, Maura. If people should be appalled by what happened 4 years ago, should they not be inspired by what's about to happen today?
They should be very proud that our system stood that day in January 2021 and that it continues to thrive today because of adults in the room who are willing to do the job that they were tasked with, that they gave an oath to do. That is what we call leadership. And it's important that this continues on past this moment, past the Trump MAGA world moment, because our democracy has stood for almost 250 years, and I intend for it to continue on much longer past my lifetime.